Call into order. Tonight is Monday, August 26th, 2019. This is the Village of Morton Planning Commission. First order of duty tonight is roll call.
Guile.
Here.
Neff. Smock.
Here.
Ritterbusch.
Here.
Farrell.
Here.
Zobrist.
Here.
Keach. Fick.
Here.
DeWeese.
Here.
Quorum.
Great, thank you very much. Next up is the approval of minutes from our last meeting. That meeting was July 22nd, 2019. Those minutes were included in your packet. If we've reviewed those, you see no changes, omissions, or alterations, we need a motion for approval of the minutes, regular meeting July 22nd, 2019.
I'll make a motion.
Approved.
Second.
Voice roll. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same.
Thank you. Next up is the public hearing portion of our meeting. Prior to going through the petition this evening, our council will give a brief statement to the public.
Thank you. Public hearings are being held tonight pursuant to published notice. Any person wishing to make a comment to the Plan Commission will be afforded an opportunity to do so and will give their testimony under oath or affirmation. At the conclusion of the public hearing, the Plan Commission will make a recommendation to the Village Board. The Plan Commission makes recommendations only. The Village Board is responsible for taking final action on these matters.
Great, thank you very much. First two petitions this evening are both similar in subject matter. These are a lot of parcel IDs, but they're essentially a zoning change from B2 to B3. First one is number 19-9. Parcel IDs, there's a multitude of them. Essentially, this would make up the field shopping center, or what is known as the field shopping center. The request is to move these from B2 to B3, and Roger will kind of explain some of the thought process here, but it's my understanding that the idea is to try to incentivize some additional interactions in these properties. They've sat vacant or they're struggling to get filled, and some have considered that maybe if the zoning was lightened up a little bit, there would be some additional opportunities in this area. Roger, is there anything else that?
No, that's basically it. It's the B2 properties. If you look, well, let's go to the definition of B3 is highway and service commercial.
Right.
And both of these properties that we're going to deal with tonight, you can't get much more highway than they have interstates in their backyard. And we're talking with and working with the EDC. They thought maybe it allows them more uses in B3 than what you can do in B2, so it might give them better opportunity to, as you said, fill some of those vacant slots out there and get people to go into the field shopping center or out to the Kmart area, former Kmart area, and if it'll help, I don't think it's going to hurt a thing. It's not going to. It probably could have been done years ago. But if you got any questions or...
Yeah, I think the question from you guys would be, obviously the positive here is B3 offers more. It offers everything that B2 has, but then there's some additional uses. And as you look through those uses inside the zoning book, you'll see my eye is always drawn to what are the worst uses, what are the worst case scenarios. And in my opinion, most of those would come by way of special use anyway, which would need to come both before this table as well as the village. So there's opportunities therein for additional review of some of the uses that might be potentially negative, I suppose, to neighboring businesses would be what I'd be worried about. But any questions from this table this evening on a B2 to B3 zoning change?
Well, this is something I could have looked at, certainly myself, before tonight, but I was just wondering if you could think of a few specific uses that B3 would have that B2 doesn't. What are some examples of that? I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but I don't know if anybody...
You mean what you can and can't do?
Yeah.
I have it right in front of me, Roger.
Okay.
So permitted uses in B3 are all permitted uses in B1 and B2. Then other retail stores, shops, and service establishments not permitted in B1 or B2. Automotive supplies and auto parts, auto washing establishments, boat sales, bowling alleys, branch banks, catering establishments, clubs, lodges, fraternal and business organizations, meeting halls and recreational facilities, drive-in food, refreshment, and other business establishments serving customers and parked cars, dry cleaning and laundry establishments, earth moving and material handling, indoor equipment displays and sale rooms, exterminating shops, farm supplies, feed stores, garages for repair and servicing of automobiles and trucks, machinery sales, motels and hotels, printing and publishing with not more than 25 employees other than office and maintenance employees, roller rinks and ice skating rinks, service, cleaning, or repair shops for personal, household, or garden equipment, sheet metal shops, storage, warehousing, and wholesale establishments providing carried out within enclosed building, veterinarian or animal hospital without outdoor kennels or runways, and welding shops.
Thank you.
Yep.
And you notice most of those, for example, the earth moving and material, everything's indoors for the most part. If you get into like automobile sales, it's a special use.
Those are all by
They have the
special use,
outdoor
yeah.
display and.
Yeah.
Are those parcels to the north that are excluded already zoned B3?
In the field shopping center?
Yes.
Yeah, they're already B3, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And there is some across South Main as well, like Bob Grimm Chevrolet and or South Main.
Any other thoughts or questions here? Hearing none, do we have a motion on the petition number 19-09ZA?
So moved.
Thank you very much. Do we have a second?
A second.
Thank you. Call when ready.
Fick,
Yes.
Ritterbusch,
Yes.
Smock,
Yes.
Guile,
Yes.
Deweese,
Yes.
Zobrist,
Yes.
Farrell.
Yes. Great, thank you. Next up is petition number 19-10ZA. Same practice, all the parcel IDs and independent addresses for the shopping center that formerly housed Kmart, as well as the bank building across and some of the development parcels that remain undeveloped near the KFC and the new fuel station. So this would be additionally a B2 to B3 zoning change. Same reasons. We've got some areas of town that are struggling to figure out redevelopment or reuse, and this is a coordinated effort to try to offer some opportunities. Same as before. Any questions or thoughts on this one? Roger, right now, the lot directly across from where KFC built, is that still showing as a special use for car wash? Did they reapply for that?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
For, I think it's, I can't remember if it's November timeframe is
Yeah.
when that will expire.
Okay, so coming up here at the end of the year.
And it's supposed to happen. Yeah,
Yep.
we're kind of doing a little pushing here.
Sure. Yeah. So they don't have to come through it again. So again, all the parcels you see outlined here in this exhibit, which encompasses the entire shopping center as well as the outlot parcels, as well as the bank. Any questions, thoughts? And if none, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion made. Do you have a second?
Second?
Thank you. Call when ready.
Farrell,
Yes.
Zobrist,
Yes.
Deweese,
Yes.
Guile,
Yes.
Smock,
Yes.
Ritterbusch,
Yes.
Fick.
Yes.
Approved.
Great. Thank you very much.
And we're fortunate that we have a good GIS person that can, Jeff Bediker, that can do these. That's not my.
That wasn't you?
That was not me. I don't want to take credit where credit is not due, so.
Well, you only, come on, you're running out of time. You should take credit for everything here before you head out the door. Next up this evening is the ordinance making amendments regarding the residential driveways. This is the Chapter 4, Title 10, discussed last meeting a little bit. This has been included now here. Any additional conversation from the city, Roger, regarding this ordinance change?
Pat kind of put it together. I was going to let him kind of walk you through it.
Yeah, so what the ordinance as revised and presented to you tonight would do is create basically 3 kind of regulations on driveway widths. From the street to the front setback line, if it's a 2-stall, it can be 24 feet. If it's a 3-stall or larger, it can be 30 feet. From the front building setback line to the house, it can flare out but that flare has to be no more than a 1-to-1 ratio, so 45-degree angle off of the driveway. And then after the building setback line, it can be wider, but no wider than the width of the garage, or 40 feet, whichever is lesser. So if you have a 3-stall garage and it's 38 feet edge to edge, you can go edge to edge. If you have 48 feet of garage up front of the house, the biggest the garage width can be at the house is 40 feet. Our intent in revising this ordinance is to meld a longstanding interpretation of the ordinance with present practices and clarify so that going forward there's a clear and concrete expectation from the village's side. It's our goal, frankly, to limit width, in part because it's unless you have a different recommendation, it's our intent not to facilitate extra parking wider than the width of the garage. So we don't want side spaces, an extra paved area off one side of the driveway or the other for off-street parking. It's our intent that there's basically a driveway with regulated width from the garage to the street. The maximum width at the street is consistent with what it's been, I believe, for some time.
Right.
And that's what Superintendent Loudermilk's comfortable with from a streets regulation standpoint. So I would suggest that number is a good number, and if you have different feedback or have different preference or questions, I'd welcome hearing those.
Is this something you can apply for a variance for?
I don't have a variance section in front of us, but I don't believe you could, but I can double check that. Roger, if you know offhand, you're welcome to.
I don't think that you can. The other factor that will be a limit, a restriction, I guess you could say, is the side setback. There's still going to be a setback there that they can't pave to the lot line, so.
Was this ordinance drafted in response to an issue?
We became specifically aware of kind of a reconciliation between the wording of our existing ordinance and what had been an interpretation that predated Roger a short time ago. So yes, there was a particular property that brought concern to our attention, mine and Roger's, in discussing the existing ordinance. That led to my recommendation that we need to clean it up. One of the other issues, and not to, one of the other opportunities this provides for clarification is Dave, Brad, and those after Roger. Roger has, a long time of institutional knowledge, and not that he won't be, I'm sure, a great helper after he goes. Where there's areas where our interpretation isn't concretely down in writing, we've been trying to clean some of that up as we go. And I have the, having been here for 3 years on my own and a few years before that, I'm not always attuned to that institutional knowledge either, which is kind of how Roger and I came to understand there was an issue that needed corrected here.
Will there be any problem with existing properties that would arise in violation of this as soon as it was?
They would be existing non-conforming structures, so they'd be basically accessory, non-conforming accessory, so they can continue until our non-conforming use ordinance would require them to do different. If, for example, they were going to rip out their entire
they're gonna
driveway
start
and
over.
repave it, they got to comply.
Okay. Any questions from the table regarding this ordinance? Does everyone feel like they understand the ordinance, or is more time requested to review it? If not, we would need a motion on it.
And as to give you a concrete answer to your question, it is not within the classification of zoning provisions for which a variance is available under the current code.
So as long as I'm grandfathered, I'm one of those that has the bump out, and one of the goals was to keep some of our vehicles from being parked on the street all the time. you know, and not with 3 or 4 drivers in the house constantly fighting and shuffling cars back and forth. So, I mean, for me, for our family, it's been a great asset to be able to have it. I'm not sure how it negatively impacts any of my neighbors. I'd like to see a variance provision included.
Under this language, would yours be in violation?
I
Or is
believe
yours
so.
right at it?
Yeah.
Okay.
This language is actually more forgiving than our present language, so it's a I would say clarification, interpretation, but also it relaxes our present provisions. Our present doesn't allow driveway width greater than 30 feet,
30
I
feet.
believe.
Any other thoughts from the table this evening? Or any recommendations?
I'll make a recommendation to approve with the inclusion of the ability to obtain a variance.
Does everyone understand that motion? So that this would get added also to the potential for variance language. Pat, just so that everybody understands how that process would work then, if this were to move ahead, obviously we're a recommendation body only and the trustees get an opportunity to review that. But if they agreed that that this should be added to the variance language, what does that process look like? Is that the parameters of that variance are set forth at that time?
So there is a list in 1010-2C, subparagraph 4, which sets forth the situations or permissible areas where a variance can be granted. So the addition to the ordinance would be adding an amendment to 1010-2C, subparagraph 4, to include this driveway width limitation as an area for which a variance is permitted. Thereafter, if the board were to adopt that, and if an individual sought a variance, they would have to come forth and prove their case based on criteria set forth under the code. That goes to the zoning board, and they're our final arbiter of
Absolutely.
whether a variance is awarded.
Anybody else? We have a motion on the table.
I'll second the motion.
With the additional language
With the
to add it.
additional language.
We have a motion made and seconded. You want to call when ready?
Farrell,
Yes.
Deweese,
Yes.
Zobrist,
Yes.
Guile,
Yes.
Smock,
Yes.
Ritterbush,
Yes.
Hood.
Yes.
Approved.
Thank you very much. Next up is a petition for annexation of the Morton Park District. This is the subject property included in your packet, previously discussed. Roger, any changes?
No, and just make sure everybody's familiar with where this property is located. It's, I included a sheet, a handout in your packet. And it's up on the screen now. This property's out off of Hurstein Road, so if you go out North Main to Lakeland, make a right, and around the curve that turns into Hurstein Road. And the cemetery entrance has a couple brick monument signs out front down that lane, and it's going to be immediately to your right as you're entering toward the cemetery. It's approximately 2 acres. It is adjacent to the property just right there with the dimension of 531.2. That's already Park District
Right.
Property. So it'd be a part of that park.
See, we have someone from the Park District in case there's any questions from the table. But if not, I don't know that we need to swear them in. Are there any questions here? If not, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Second.
I'll second.
There it is. Call when ready.
Ritterbusch,
Yes.
Smock,
Yes.
Kyle,
Yes.
Zobrist,
Yes.
Deweese,
Yes.
Farrell,
Yes.
Fick.
Yes.
Approved.
Great. Other business? Annie? This is not the last meeting. Next
Well,
month.
as far as I know, we have a little time for somebody to put in an application here yet, so with any luck, you'll get to see me again next month.
I feel like we should make a motion right now that if there's no meeting next month, you're forced to come the following month, just so we can all
I would do
razz you
that
one
for you
last
guys.
time.
I just want you to know that I would.
I appreciate that. Okay, so that ends the public meeting. There's no other business. Brad, are you aware of anything from the trustees that,
No,
nothing to talk about?
been more than covered.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed?